Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 31 Media podcast. My name is Vaishnavi Nashte, and I'm the Marketing and PR Manager here at 31 Media. Today's podcast is in collaboration with the National DevOps Conference and Awards, or as we call it at 31 Media headquarters, the hashtag NDCA 2024. If you are interested in exhibiting or attending the conference, or to even exhibit some of your tech solutions to our delegates, please follow the link in the description to do so. Today's podcast is particularly an exciting one because I'm talking not to just like a seasoned expert in the DevOps space, but he's also a speaker at the upcoming conference. Harbinder Singh works as the head of cloud and security, and he has over 12 years of experience within the DevOps space. Welcome to the 31 Media podcast, Harbinder. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for the invitation and opportunity to talk about it.
No worries. So, congratulations, firstly, on becoming a speaker at the conference. I'm
Yeah.
curious, could you help our audience understand a bit more regarding what your speaking session will be about and who can attend the conference, and especially your speaking session?
Sure. Firstly, the target audience is general organization and DevOps focused people. When I say DevOps focused people, those who are more inclined towards security.
Mm-hmm.
And my talk is around, in today's digital age where cloud computing drives business innovation, protecting those sensitive data across paradigm has never been more critical. Um,
Yeah.
Cloud offers, the scalability and flexibility, but it also presents significant privacy and security challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So people who are interested uh, to to hear about things that I have used or have implemented across my career, have learned from my peers and my managers and the
Yeah.
best practices that helps to add that control to safeguard the most valuable asset, and in today's world is data,
Yeah.
uh, which is more valuable than gold, I guess. So yeah, so in my upcoming talk, I would be exploring some strategies, focusing on some tools and practices, mostly around AWS. I've got more experience with AWS,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean these practices cannot be applied across other cloud platforms.
Yeah, that's amazing. We're seeing that a lot of things are obviously becoming a lot more digital these days, right? Which brings some questions into light. Like, for example, why is it important right now more than ever to, have this distinguishing factor between what should be made public and what should remain private?
It really drills down to like it starts from a personal life, right?
Hmm.
Uh, in today's digital age, like everybody, not everybody, most of us are on Instagram, Snapchat,
Hmm.
and the line between public, what should be available, your data, and the
Yeah.
private details about yourselves, and not only individual, but even for organizations, are increasingly blurred due
Hmm.
to extensive use of cloud services, digital platforms, social media. Now, in today's world, this makes it even critical to carefully manage what information we want to share. And the most of the time, it is either oversharing that has
Hmm.
led to privacy breaches, using very unsecure password or very weak passwords, and use of that for most use that for more frequent access and across multiple platforms, have caused identity thefts. And yeah, and for businesses, it not only damages their reputation, but also
Yeah.
adds significant financial implications on them. So, and that is one very big reason about by clearly distinguishing between
Mhm.
what data should be public and what should be private. Business can not only have that edge on the competitors, but also safeguard their proprietorship and make sure they thrive in today's more competitive digital world.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned about security within businesses. I'm curious, now that we've established that yes, it is important to
Yeah.
have that distinguishing factor, but how would you suggest that businesses should determine what information should actually be made public and what should be kept private?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very subjective matter.
Yeah.
Uh, what should be made public and private? Uh, from practices that we put in at Clean and I've put in other organization. I mean, the front of it is to identifying what data we have
Mm.
and classifying that data, whether it is personal data, non-PII data, or it's business critical data. So that classification is ever more important in today's world. So, uh, and by doing so, for example, public-facing content such as marketing material, product catalog, your customer testimonial should be designed to build brand, but not give out personal information and things that would create identity theft or data theft in future. So so keeping that in mind, you would not put internal data like financial records, your proprietary technology, like your code base, which builds your core system for SaaS platforms and your customer personal information. You would not throw that out
Yeah.
to make public. So it is very important, and that is the basic of when you build security and you want to apply those guardrails to make sure that you stay in that safe zone. I
Hmm.
mean, in today's world, nobody is safe. I mean, one or the other day, a malicious actor will try
Yeah.
attack and they might
Yeah.
break through. But it is very important for us as on the
Mm.
other side to make it as difficult as possible. So
Yeah.
the guiding principle is to understand what data you have and classify that,
Mm.
which will then give you an idea and give you more add principles to when you start designing your security paradigm
Mm.
in your
Hmm.
business. Yeah.
Amazing. And how do you think, like in the last 12 years that you've been in the DevOps space and your current experience at Clean, have there been like any tools or certain practices that you have yourself utilized or practiced to sort of protect this private data?
Yeah. I mean, the first foremost is humans make mistake. So
Yeah.
it is important. So as developers, as DevOps, as SRE engineers, it is important to make sure, you know, when you want to learn something or you want to do something repetitively, you usually make notes or you do your at the start of the day, you would create a to-do list, right? So that you do not forget stuff. But as humans, we would forget stuff. So therefore, we would refer to these list. Now, in digital world, when we build something to help build securely, it is important to add those configuration, add those checks. Like if you use GitHubs, you could add uh, pre-commit hooks to run certain things to make sure that API keys are not checked in. There are tools like GitHub Dependabot, which would then scan through your dependencies and packages and see
Mm.
which ones are out of date and probably create raise PRs to get those fixed. Um,
Yeah.
so that's the fundamental. So the security starts from your laptop, your local machine. When we say everything
Mm.
works on my machine, but not on the server, this is where I
Yeah.
mean it has to be secure enough so that
Mm.
by mistake you do not expose anything which is not
Yeah.
intended. Like, secondly, once it's out there,
Mm.
you need to understand the perimeter, uh, depending on what type of service, depending on your customers, depending on what type of platform you are providing as a business. It is important to understand the perimeters and what you need to safeguard. Now, some some organization, if the services that are built are internal, probably just a simple firewall, network firewall would do the work. But if it is public, you would add for application firewall so that that would identify any malicious attacks, SQL injections, and make sure it
Yeah.
secures your perimeters. In cloud services, you would use you could add on. I mean, it is definitely recommended, and it has to be mandatory to properly identify inbound and outbound requests that goes in, and
Mm.
use security groups and network access layer groups to make sure you're further secured before anything hits to the servers. Um,
Mhm.
once you have that, and while you're doing that, the while we are implementing perimeter uh,
Mhm.
uh, privacy around your application, and it is important to the most important thing is that you need to know when things goes wrong.
Yeah.
So you need to
So have like a
understand.
contingency plan in place.
Exactly. And before
Yeah.
that, before you execute that plan, you need to know what went wrong and where it
Mm.
went. So monitoring is very important. Um, uh, so when it comes to monitoring, I mean, there are tools out there, but to understand what vectors you need to monitor, for example, you would like to know rate of rate of us on your website on a
Yeah.
specific URL through from a unique IP, and how many times
Mm.
it's hitting, and probably use that for getting an alarm that these endpoints are hardly used, but there is a spike in usage. So identifying vectors and identifying what you want to measure is important as part of your monitoring.
Mm.
And tools like CloudWatch alarms in AWS, and your Event Bridge, which could on real time could throw out alerts
Yeah.
when things are not as it should be. Um, in our organization, the way we have implemented is we have kept one of the tool, an external tool outside of a cloud environment. The reason
Mm.
being, there should be something else watching.
Mm.
If there is a breach, if someone comes in or a militia actor comes in and turn off those alarms, there should be something external keeping an eye. So as a uh, uh, foolproof uh, monitoring plan.
Yeah.
So I would, as part of best practices, have your alarms and have your monitoring configured in just
Mm.
next to your services to identify these threats, but also have a tool which sits outside of your current service paradigm or deployment, and let that monitor too, and
Mm.
record and send alerts. So in case of you lose access to your environment, that is you have another tool where all the data exists. Yeah, and there are other tools on container scanning because container is quite hot.
Yeah.
Um, I mean that tools depending on where you run your containers, whether it's
Mm.
Kubernetes, Docker Swarm, or AWS ECS.
Yeah.
There are multiple tools that would help you run your SAST and DAS scanning and container
Mm.
inspection, and make sure you have a secure environment when it comes to production, and minimize those data leakages or data breaches.
Yeah, I'm probably going a bit off tangent right now, but I want to get your opinion on the role of AI and automation when it comes to cloud security. Like, what are your thoughts on it? What kind of role does it play, and how much should a person like include them in their daily activities?
Yeah, I mean, AI automation has always been there in the industry.
It's,
Like
yeah.
since I've started as a junior tester and worked my way up. Automation has been there. Um, AI has taken it further for making things easier when it comes to
Mhm.
automation, or give you the results that you need. Security, again, AI, it is publicly available. The data that you put in is publicly available. So if you, say example, speaking to chat GPT on
Mm,
getting a Python script done, and you pass in, say, I've got this API, here's the API key. That API key, once you've given to chat GPT, is there out.
mm,
So please be careful when it comes to sharing any sensitive data out, even using AI. Unless the SaaS provider, unless organizations like my organization, Clean AI, it is all in. We build AI solutions around data pipelines to help customers understand what their say uh, uh, customer attributions or marketing or marketing strategies are playing around. So
mhm,
we help them to build that pipeline through connectors
mhm.
and help them visualize what how their data is performing. Now we do build AIs and all, but then this is all we do take help of AI, and it is AI driven platform, but everything is all encapsulated in a very strict environment where data transparency is understood. Customers know
Yeah.
what data is passing through Clean AI, what and what is the retention around those data, and
Mm,
yeah. So when it comes to AI and automation, obviously don't put everything out in the in and
yeah.
out there, but also understand if you're sending things, how that data is used.
Yeah, that's a really good insight. And also, like you mentioned something about transparency. I'm curious, how can businesses really maintain that balance between data transparency versus data privacy? How do they achieve that balance?
Yeah, I mean it's like walking on on a sword.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've really like uh, put the pin on the head or whatever the proverb is,
Mm,
that
hmm.
it is crucial. Transparency is crucial. I mean, in personal relationship, yes, and in building customers,
Hmm.
building trust with customers, and building trust within the organization with stakeholders, it is a
Yeah.
must. But it is also utterly important to have that balance of not oversharing. Transparency means I've got your data, you understand what data is coming to me
Mm,
as an organization. With your data, I would do X, Y, Z. Once I've done this, you would get ABC.
mm,
We would handle your data within this processes. These are the security measures that we have put in. And when it comes to transparency, this is the retention, this is how we safeguard. It is all about educating and making sure your customer stakeholders
yeah.
understand practices and how
Mm,
we create that guardrails around the data that is coming into the environment. At the end of the day, they are trusting us with their data. So making without disclosing positive, without disclosing sensitive data
yeah.
to the customers, it is you could always walk them through of these are the measures, guardrails put in place,
Mm,
uh, and you could prove them through your ISO. So Clean AI is ISO certified. So
okay.
you give them like here's pen testing, here's ISO certification, and
Mm,
this is how we handle data. We have these policies in place. So yeah, transparency on how we handle data uh, is a crucial position. And in case for unfortunate reason there is a data breach, your customers should know how to approach or how to raise the concerns about security uh, to the organization.
right.
Uh, so
Right.
hence transparency play a very important role.
That's a really crucial insight. And I want to pick your brain a bit more because you've had like so much experience within security. How can an individual also practice data privacy in their digital lives today?
I mean, single rule of thumb, share as less as possible. That is
Yeah.
that is not possible. We all around wherever we go, even we share what we eat, pictures of what we
Mm,
eat. But it is really important to limit, and again, it falls back to understand what should be public what should be private. Uh, it is, you would not share your home address, phone number, or anything that would identify you. And can I mean, it would identify you, but could be used for identity theft, right? So
Right.
it is very important to limit what you share. So the lesser the data is about you is out there in the internet,
Mm,
it's difficult for the malicious actor to do identity theft on you. I mean, I go a bit external, probably some of us do anyways. I even rip off the address label out of
yeah.
the any packages that come in, that is destroyed separately. The other thing goes, the box goes as recycling. So
Yeah.
the lesser you share, the better it is. When it comes to your personal data, it is important to know what is your private data and what is your public data.
Mm,
Um, then the other thing that I do personally, and every family member and every people in Clean does, is enable multi-factor authentication,
right.
irrespective of whatever platform you're using. Even if you're using Google, which would be like your Gmail would be highly secured by Google, if you just have a username password, it would take few seconds for malicious actors to break in into
I
your
can
Gmail.
do it.
It's very
Yeah.
important to have that multi-factor authentication, either to an external phone or to your machine, whatever which is kept on your side. Um, and following which, there are a lot of phishing scams.
Right.
Literally this morning, my missus had a text saying you've got a parking fine,
Oh
and
God.
she did got worried, right? So
Yeah.
so but then noticing that it is not from the parking
Authentic one. Mm,
exactly. It is not authentic. It the URL doesn't look right. The number that it comes from is not registered. It's just a simple phone number.
mm,
And even same goes with emails, right? You could go one step further to look at uh, show original in your email, which shows all the DKIM, the return URLs, and you could see whether it is an unsolicited email or it is a legit email.
yeah.
Plus, never click on any link or download an attachment from places which you don't think you
Mm,
would think these from.
absolutely.
It,
Yeah.
it's similar to if somebody comes at your door and they look suspicious and you were not expecting, you would check before opening the door, right? So this is
Yeah.
exactly what you need to do um, when it comes to your online world.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of people do go through those experiences and they're just increasing by a number. So it's so important to know how to filter these things out. So obviously, these insights are very helpful to our audience. Is there anything else you'd like to mention to our audience today regarding your speaking session at the National DevOps Conference?
I mean, about the speaking sessions, I've already touched based on. I don't want to give out more, so
Yeah,
please
it's just a
come
teaser.
in. As a teaser
Yeah.
about some things, and it would be a slightly technical session,
Yes.
so hopefully it would be more enjoyable by techies, and yeah, so please come along. It would be a really good session, and I'll be around after the session for any questions if you have, and yeah, uh, that's all I have to say. And be safe.
Yeah, be safe. Perfect. Harvinder, thank you so much. You literally covered everything. And if today in our audience there's anybody who has any further questions, please attend Harvinder's session and you can ask him all the questions you want. But again, thank you so much, Harvinder, again, for being on the 31 Media podcast.
Thank you for having me.